Welcome back to the Dethroning Your Inner Critic YouTube channel. I'm your host, Joanna Kleinman, psychotherapist, empowerment coach, and CEO of the Dethroning Your Inner Critic coaching company. And today I want to talk about 20 new beliefs that I had to embody for me to design my most important vision for my life. And I encourage you to write these down because it is so important as you are building your vision that you really embody the highest level of yourself. So I am continually needing to let go of my old inner critic habits of thoughts and beliefs that are no longer serving me and embody this new way of thinking about who I am and what's possible for me moving forward. So the problem that many people face when they are creating their biggest vision is they're using the same mind that they've been using for forever. And I want you to understand that many of our automatic habits of thoughts, beliefs, and emotions were actually created early on in our childhood. So we've got to recognize the automatic habits that are no longer serving us so that we can really step into a whole new self with entirely different beliefs, entirely different thoughts, entirely different emotions that lead to entirely different behaviors. So if you are feeling impatient or frustrated or tired or just plain old over it, this episode is for you because embodying these new habits is what will help you unhook from your inner critic mind every day. So I'm hoping that you can use these new habits of thought to return yourself to your commitment and realign to the extraordinary journey that you're on when you're building the life of your dreams. Okay, so here are the habits. Habit number 1, you have to know with utter conviction that you're going to achieve your vision. Okay, you've got to embody the belief that it's a done deal, right? Now, I'm going to say something about this, okay? If you get too attached to an exact vision for how your life is going to unfold, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment. So I want you to become curious about how it's all going to show up in reality. All we're doing is we're aligning ourselves with this very moment. We're taking the very next action that intuitively feels right, and then we're getting curious to see where it goes. Okay? Now, habit number 2, we have to be deeply connected with our next level self right now, in our mind, in our body, in our soul. We have to be able to see that next level of who we are in our mind's eye. And we have to keep consciously asking ourselves the question, is this how she would think? Is this what she would believe? Are these the actions she would take? Is this how she would interpret that situation? Okay. Remember, we have a lot of beliefs and stories and interpretations that we've been dragging around with us for a very long time. Okay. So when we get deeply connected with the next level version of ourselves, we recognize that who we are now is not who we were back then. Okay. And if we're really embodying somebody very different, then we're going to absolutely accomplish more than we could ever imagine. Now, I want you to remember that old self never goes away. It's not something, right? We're never going to get rid of her. What we're developing is the muscle to be able to so clearly see our old self that we can put her right here on the palm of our hand and say, I'm no longer you. That is no longer who I am. I am now this person. Okay. So habit number 4, we have to continually heal our internal pain, our internal emotional addictions that we've created a long time ago. And we have to embody the woman that's willing to do that hard and consistent work over and over again. Okay? Because as we are moving forward, what's going to keep showing up is our old pain. It's inevitable. Okay? So you've got to be able to see that old pain for exactly what it is, which is just basically an ingrained, well-worn path in your brain of the same thoughts and the same emotions that lead to the same behaviors. That's the old version of you. You've got to be willing to see it every time it shows up, which for me is sometimes multiple times a day. You got to be able to see it over and over and over again so that you can unhook from it as soon as it shows up and then embrace your authentic self. Next habit. You understand that building your vision is the perfect playground for continuing to practice this work of seeing your old inner critic self. So even when your inner critic is trying to keep you stuck in that same old identity, because remember, that's your inner critic's job, to keep you in the familiar, in the known, in that comfort zone. Okay. So as we are embarking on creating this completely different self and this completely different identity, it feels foreign. That's when your inner critic is going to scream the loudest. Okay. So this leads to the next habit. To become very practiced every day at nipping your inner critic's fear response right in the bud. Okay? Because here's what I know, that old self is not going to get me to where I want to go. Okay? Albert Einstein said, you can't keep using the same old mind if you expect to create different results. Okay? Something like that. He said something like that. Okay? So you have to know how to become a next level version of you. That's the authentic self version of you. Okay? The more that you see the difference between the old self and who you're embodying right now, that's how you can 10 times your growth and 10 times your transformation and 10 times your level of impact. Okay, next habit. You have to realize that you've got old inner critic habits that are no longer serving you, but that you keep engaging in right now. Now, those could be habits of thought. They could be habits of reactions. They could be habits of emotions. They could be habits of behavior. Okay? I actually encourage you to write down your inner critic's habits that you know are no longer serving you right now. Okay? Next habit. You trust your authentic self to be the one to guide all of your thoughts, all of your beliefs, all of your emotions, and all of your actions. Okay? and you actually spend time in your day talking with your authentic self, consulting with your authentic self. That's a really important step. I actually often pause in my day and really get connected to my authentic self and ask her, how would you handle this situation? What would be your next step? Especially when I know my vision is already a done deal. I can fully trust her to guide me towards what's next. Next habit. You have to take care of your physical energy and your emotional energy. Okay? Your energy level is crucial. So I want you to recognize your inner critic's attempts to sabotage your energy level. Okay? Because very often our discomfort will have us engaging in behaviors to numb ourselves, to placate our fears, to avoid taking action. Okay? We've got to tap into a very different sense of our inner power, such that even if our inner critic is trying to convince us that we don't feel like it, we're too frustrated, let's just take the day off. No, we know that getting into action is the thing that's going to shift our energy from the inside. Okay? So we can influence our energy by taking action. Next habit. You know that everything around you influences that energy. And anything or anyone in any area of your life that's out of alignment with your vision is going to impact the energy that you're emitting out into the world. Okay? It's going to affect who you're being. It's going to affect what you think is possible for yourself. It's going to impact the quality of your relationships. So again, I want to encourage you to do that daily work of healing the parts of you that are connected to that old inner critic self, to let go of the thoughts and beliefs and emotions that are keeping you stuck in that same old inner critic identity. That same identity that thinks that you're not enough, you don't know enough, you don't have what it takes, you're not somebody that can make that level of impact. It's just a story. Okay? Next habit. You resist people pleasing, approval seeking, and taking care of other people's feelings above your own. Okay? And most importantly, you stop making other people's reactions your responsibility. This one was huge for me. Okay? It's a big inner critic addiction, is seeking out the approval and acceptance of other people and feeling guilty for setting boundaries, feeling guilty for saying no, and feeling guilty for other people having negative opinions of what we're doing or what we're not doing. Okay? Other people's thoughts about us, none of our business. All right? Next habit. Taking time to slow down. Taking time to plan. Taking time to imagine. Taking time to create. Understanding that there is no rush. That everything in our life happens exactly at the right time. To stop comparing yourself to some imagined timeline. There is no timeline. We've got to give ourselves the room to grow at our pace. Okay? So when we let go of this imagined timeline, or believing that somehow we should be further along than where we are. That's how we're able to experience more joy, more fulfillment. And when we have more joy and fulfillment, that's when we can produce results that are way bigger than we could have ever imagined. Next habit, this is a biggie. You know that the universe is always conspiring for you. That everything that comes along your path is for your growth. Even the things that you don't want to come across your path, okay? Even the conflicts, even the obstacles, even the failures, even the judgments. It's all for your growth. So that's a really important one, because now any challenge that comes your way, you recognize it's an opportunity. You really recognize that there's no such thing as problems to avoid, because, the truth is, problems are really unavoidable. We actually have, right? Sometimes life goes the way we want it to. Sometimes life doesn't go the way that we want it to, but it never has to be a problem. If we're listening to our inner critic self, it becomes a problem. Next habit. You know that you don't need to produce results to feel worthy, to feel lovable, to feel important. That's already within you right now. That it's not your results that are going to make you feel the way that you want to feel about yourself. That you have the power to create those feelings right now and to create your future from a place of wholeness and completeness, instead of looking at this very moment as nothing more than a stepping stone to get to that future, because that future is going to be the thing that's finally going to make you feel the way that you want to feel. Right? I hope you feel the difference. Okay? Our inner critic self looks at this moment only as a stepping stone. We've got to recognize that this very moment is all there is. And your authentic self knows to make this very moment the most important moment of your life. Because if you make this very moment the most important moment of your life, you change your experience of your whole life. Okay? Next habit. You regularly practice creating safety within your body by regulating your nervous system. Your nervous system goes haywire when you're not present. My favorite way to get myself present is to put my hand right on my heart and to do some square breathing. Okay? I breathe in. I hold for 4. I breathe out. I hold at the bottom for 4. And I do that 5 or 6 times, and it just gets me present. And when I'm present, that's when I can tap into my authentic self and purposely choose thoughts that are in alignment with having gratitude, having self-compassion, having non-judgment of myself, having non-judgment of other people, and creating peace. That's the most important thing. The last habit of thought is that I know that this work of unhooking from my inner critic and embodying my authentic self takes ongoing practice. And when I'm impatient or I'm frustrated, those are the indication signs that I'm back to my inner critic self. And I know that to get to where I want to be, it's not easy. It takes ongoing practice to return ourselves to embodying our authentic self over and over and over. So we have to have patience, we have to have consistency, and we have to have certainty when we know what we're building. It's going to come, but along the journey, you're going to need to give yourself an incredible amount of self-compassion and grace and spaciousness. Because while you're creating your most important vision, you're healing your old self along the way, and you're strengthening the ability to step into this completely new version of yourself. So I hope that you take the time to embody these habits of thinking. They have fundamentally changed my life and fundamentally changed the experience of who I am and what's possible for me, so that I'm no longer looking at this future that I'm creating and thinking that there's some arrival point that I need to get to before I feel my fulfillment and peace and joy. Instead, by practicing these habits, I'm embodying that now. And that's changed every important area in my life. Thanks for listening today. Have a great day.